Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm super excited to be here and having this opportunity to share with you how PurpleCube AI is revolutionizing data orchestration by embedding generative AI in the data engineering process. It's almost like a new era. By embedding Gen AI into data engineering, unlimited possibilities and use cases are opening up. This revolution is truly bringing data engineering into the center stage where it always belonged. In next 15 minutes or so, we're going to have a conversation around three key digital global imperatives every organization has embarked on, and how data engineering, and more specifically, embedded Gen AI data engineering is going to play a critical role in success of these imperatives. Moving on, how embedding Gen AI into data engineering is bringing in that seamless automation and data orchestration and changing data engineering landscape forever. Today, every organization has embarked on this journey to move to cloud. Every organization today is finding ways and means to adopt AI and AI use cases. Every organization has moved on to automation. Gone are those days when organization would discuss or wonder, should I get onto these initiatives? Today's conversation is all about how can I make it effective and relevant to my organization? And what has emerged based on our conversations with various organizations, various clients across the globe is organizations today heavily depend on the enterprise data for the success of these initiatives. That means a solid foundation of data strategy is very important. Now, only data strategy is not enough. In a perfect world, what you really need is perfect alignment between data strategy, data governance, and data platforms. Now, if you have it sorted out, if you organize this, then you have it all. What does that mean? That means you are able to process your data in real time. You are able to deliver that data in real time. You are able to prioritize data privacy, data security for your organization. You are able to provision data sets for the business consumption with the highest level of trust and governance. And most importantly, you are able to embed data in every decision and every interaction or every process your organization makes. Now, keep in mind, this is a perfect world. And strategically speaking, a lot of organizations have moved in that direction. Majority of organizations today have unified data analytics. That means they have unified data lakes, data warehouses, eliminating that complexity of having multiple platforms. Now, the same research also indicates that the majority of organizations also have failed to unify data engineering. Today, most of the organizations have at least three or more data integration or data engineering tools. Now, having so many tools to do the same function, of course, brings a lot of complexities. And we all know how these complexities have started. It all starts with your first data warehousing project where you need an ETL tool. Moving forward very quickly, you have a need for real-time data processing. Before you realize you need API integration, you have a big data integration, you have unstructured data needs, so on and so forth. Before you realize you are caught up in this hairball of data integration. Now, these challenges are imposed by the limitations of tools and platforms because there is no single tool or a platform to incorporate all your data engineering needs. In addition to that, organizations have their own challenges when it comes to getting access to the data or handling the cost of data processing or bringing that trust in data. And even if you figure out all of this, scaling becomes a massive challenge because now you have to scale up all these tools and platforms across the organization. Now, all of these complexities means you are living in those complexities, and that means you're not able to live in that perfect world which we talked about. Most importantly, you're not able to effectively support those three digital imperatives we talked about. And you're not able to effectively deploy your AI initiatives, your AI use cases. Also not able to take full advantage of productivity gain generative AI can bring. Now, these complexities, these challenges are not able to perform some of these critical aspects of the business has a huge impact. And this business impact is a lot. To begin with, time to market is the biggest one for me. Till today, a lot of data teams are struggling to deliver those data assets, that those analytics to the business requirements in time. Teams are caught up in crunching the data through the various tools and various systems. That also means the teams are overworked because they have to study and master various tools, and the whole process becomes very ineffective. And to top it all, of course, you're paying significant bills towards various vendors to keep those licenses, keep those deployments going. Your on-premise deployments, your in-cloud deployments, and the list goes on. So overall, the business impact is huge. And the key stakeholders who are significantly affected are those people who are actually responsible to make your organizations data-driven, make those organizations successful in delivering those three digital imperatives. Keeping these key stakeholders in mind, your data engineers, your data architects, your data scientists, your data execs, we believe that there is a better way moving forward. Gen AI powered data engineering looks like this: a single platform where, first of all, you are able to unify all your data engineering needs for all types of data, for all latencies. You are able to then in same platform automate all the complex data pipelines and complex data environments. And at last, you are able to also activate all kind of analytics in the same platform. And if need be, you can extend and activate those insights to other platforms. And all of this is happening with the real-time assistance given by generative AI. Now, what does that mean? We need a little bit of a deep dive to understand that. Now, imagine your data engineer, your data analyst is able to compose and schedule end-to-end data pipelines. And as he or she is doing that, also is able to get that real-time generative AI assistance as the data is getting processed. That today, data engineer then will be able to understand that data better, able to see the business glossary or build that business glossary on the fly, or able to understand what data quality rules or what transformation rules are truly needed for these data sets for him to curate those data sets. Imagine the productivity gain of this data engineer and then able to rapidly develop and deploy fully optimized data pipelines in the data engineering studio itself without depending on the business inputs, without depending on any other inputs. And it doesn't stop there, right? You should be able to automatically distribute the workloads depending on the importance of those data sets and the costs associated with processing of those data sets. The platform also supports monitoring of your mission critical data pipelines, but not only that, now you can self-heal those pipelines so that no more breakages in your data processing. And all of this is happening while the metadata is actively stored in a common platform. Whatever data is getting processed, the metadata of that data is in the common repository. Now, this metadata can fuel in your data cataloging initiatives and also can fuel in and activate all kind of analytics. This platform supports seamless connectivity with choice of your visualization tool or choice of your data science tool or any other analytical tools, but also within the platform, now with the GenAI assistance, you are able to interact with your curated data sets, or you can combine your curated data sets with raw data sets, or you can also throw in unstructured data sets, and you are able to do English language queries to do the analytics on that data. And all of that can happen in the platform. Now, bringing all this ideology, bringing all this technology in the platform, that's what PurpleCube AI has done. PurpleCube AI has a very tight integration between generative AI capabilities and the common metadata. And that is supported with ability to handle all types of data at all latencies, be it your structured data, semi-structured, streaming, object data, all that data with all latencies is supported within the platform with all the data engineering capabilities needed to curate that data. Be it as simple as building those data pipelines, building those transformation rules, applying those data quality rules, having the data discovery roadmap, data migration strategy, all of that can happen in the platform with real-time generative AI assistance. The orchestration of all this engineering also happens in the same platform in a no-code environment, in a graphical user interface with a drag and drop capabilities. All the automation, all the scheduling happens in the platform with the orchestration layer. And all of that comes with the enterprise class capabilities when it comes to security, architecture, and deployment options. The platform can be deployed on-premise, or it can be in cloud, or it could have a hybrid deployment. It supports multi-tenant architecture. You can deploy security rules, encryption. All in all, the platform is geared to provide you that cost optimization, resource optimization, and performance optimization. Now, with all these rich capabilities and the GenAI assistance in the platform, a lot of possibilities open up. So with this platform, of course, you could do all classical data engineering use cases, such as data warehousing automation, data lake automation, data migration, data replication. All of that is possible. But on top of that, now use cases around unstructured data processing, be it exploratory data analytics, English language queries, metadata enrichment, that's my favorite one. You remember those days when you would spend months together to enrich your business glossary or to begin with build that business glossary would take months and months. But now with this capability, you are able to build that business glossary, you're able to enrich that metadata on the go. Uh, Something we would take 3 to 6 months, now this can be done in days. Data quality assessment and improvement, a big topic, right? We always have had this challenge with our enterprise data, but now platform can intuitively tell you what are the most relevant data quality rules you can apply for these data sets. So these all use cases open up with this new approach where you're embedding Gen AI with traditional data engineering capabilities. Now I'm going to hand it over to Kaushal to give you a view of the product in action. And post that, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the Q&A section, and we will address them at the end of the session. Thank you.
To talk about our latest offerings on generative AI, right? So we have seen from an architecture standpoint, we connect to more than 150 data points, right? So while we bring the data from all 150 data sources the way you want, primarily we're able to do this four things: data encryption from a privacy or governance standpoint, or if you're running certain data governance initiatives, you can encrypt your data while you transfer your data or while you design your data pipelines. The other thing that we are really doing well is data transformation. So we have in-house transformation, and I'm going to showcase live on our platform how exactly you can apply transformation with ease. Just select and drag and drop, and your things are done for data transformation. So that's again one of the core capabilities of a platform. Data masking. A lot of the organizations, while they are transferring the data from various sources to a staging environment, from staging to target, they're expected to mask the data from data privacy or GDPR rules and a lot of other things. That's something which is also possible within the platform itself. And last but not least, how do you really accelerate the data migration? So with the virtue of cloud or transformation programs or even data modernization programs, you have your traditional warehouses with MySQL, Oracle, and then now we are moving to a more cloud or elastic data warehouse platforms like Google BigQuery or maybe Snowflake or Databricks. How to really migrate your data, which you have accumulated over a period of last 5 to 10 years for your data warehouse? How do you really do that very quickly? Is again one of the core capabilities of the platform, which is a data migration. Now, while we have a virtue of all the data that we gather from various sources, again, from a data engineering standpoint, we do it without any specific coding interference. How do we really leverage this data to enhance our generative AI? This is what we are going to be showcasing, and I'm really more excited about showing this. So there are 4 effective use cases, and if I really speak about generative AI with the capabilities of LLM, it is actually given a pathway to do anything and everything that you want to do, right? While we are focusing on data, because we are specialized in data engineering and data, we have identified 4 use cases, which are very effective from an organization standpoint and from a business objective standpoint. So these are the 4 use cases we are going to implement. We have already implemented, I'm going to showcase. The very first thing is query your data. While we speak to our customers, a lot of the times what really happens is that this platform is really capable of managing volumes of data, and all data engineers really understand it well. But while it goes to the business analyst or people who are not so sound on technically, and if they want to find out something, it's very difficult, right? So what we are doing is that we are asking query on a natural language, which is in English. You ask those queries, and in return, you will get your answers. In the backend, what really happens is that that query will be synthesized. It will be broken down into SQL statements. The SQL statements will get executed on your warehouse, and then you'll get the final result. Amazing, right? So that's number one. Second, data quality rules. A lot of the times while we execute our data pipelines, uh, and while we do data profiling, we identify that what kind of data quality rules that we are going to implement. Or while our data pipelines have failed in production based on those learnings, we have captured those data quality rules, and we have refined our data pipelines to manage those data quality issues. Now, how do we really ensure that we prescribe certain data quality rules? And that's where we are again taking help from generative AI. We're asking them what are the data quality rules that can be applied on certain data attributes. Not only that, we are getting the recommendation, but we are also applying those data quality rules. And you can do 2 things. You can check the recommendation as well as the compliance status, or if you want to repair those data attributes, that's also quite possible. So that's the second use case that we have implemented very specifically and focused on data engineering. The third thing, again, which comes to very handy for data scientists, or if I really spoke about machine learning engineers, right? While they're analyzing millions of rows of data, it's practically impossible to, check it out and how exactly data has come out to train their models. So this is again one of the very sound use case that we have found out using generative AI. You ask a simple question based on your data, it will plot the chart. Again, that will happen locally, and that based on those charts which have come up on the PurpleCube screen, you can find out that what are the outliers or how exactly things have span across the various years. You can prepare time series charts. You can prepare even more complex chart like violin chart or scatter plot. Any kinds of chart which you usually do it through Python, and you require data engineers to run it for you. That is again, which is possible within the platform itself. And last but not the least is the metadata enrichment. I've seen personally some of my colleagues who are at an executive level across the various banks. These banks are operational probably more than 40, 50 years. One of the problem is that some of the COBOL programs or some of the applications which are written or data modeling which is done, that was done before 40 years. And 40 years is something which even before I was born. right? So it's very extremely difficult for data engineers to understand how exactly, with what mindset those data modeling was done. So we, with the help of PurpleCube, because we capture active metadata, with the help of generative AI, we are creating those business glossary so that you really understand how the business data model has been applied, what this specific data attribute means to the data engineer, and accordingly you can take care while you create your pipeline. So these are the use cases I'm going to showcase. Some of the use case takes really long time because we operate on a volumes of data, but I'll try to cover them whatever is possible. Before I do, let me switch back to my screen to a platform. I'll first give an demonstration of the platform, how exactly smoothly it operates from a data engineering standpoint, and then I'll move to generative AI. In between, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop it on the chat box. Right, so this is a very first place where once you log into PurpleCube, you can quickly check it out that from an organization or from a project standpoint, how your data is distributed. You can see from the data points, which is nothing but the various data sources, right? Which are the sources from where you collect the data, right? So it's a very user-friendly uh, uh, dashboard where you can see how exactly things are spread across. Now, very first thing, I'm not going to go into too much of detail, but I'll quickly give you a glimpse. What are the things which are possible, right? So from a uh, platform standpoint, the most important module is the administrator module. This is the place where data architect has to set up everything from an organization standpoint, be it your repository or whatever kind of connectors that you have, and nothing but a data type mapping. So let's say if you have certain data sources, Snowflake as your one of the source, and you have Databricks as one of the target, right? So you can map your data types right after here so that your data engineers don't make any mistakes. While they create their pipelines, it's a seamless experience. In the backend, everything will be taken care of automatically. Besides that, you can create various users, you can create multiple projects, so you have a complete control over your organization and how exactly multi-tenancy will play out. From a user roles standpoint, we have 3x3 metrics for every module that you see on the screen, and I'm going to demonstrate. For every screen, you will have read, write, execute kind of an access, and you can also create your customized role for specific. And this roles can also be clubbed to a certain user group, let's say data engineers. So certain data engineers will have common roles. That is also something which you can define. You can set up your organizations, everything you will be able to see on this administrator module. Right after this is being taken care from a data architect standpoint, the very first thing it comes out at how easily I can create my pipeline, right? So whenever I'm expected to create a pipeline, the very first thing is I need to establish a secured connection with my data source. And for that, we have data point. Data point is nothing where it will allow you to connect to a certain data points. We connect to more than 150 data sources in the most absolute secured way. You can simply choose the type of your data source and things are done. I'm just showcasing one of the data point, which is a REST API, and just to showcase how easily you can do these things, right? So for every discrete data source that you have, we have various mechanisms or various parameters that we need to connect to those things, and that will come automatically populated out here. Like for REST API, I have authentication type, URL, response format, and everything. Right after I have everything done, I can just I can click on test data point and you will see a success message. I'm able to connect to that specific data source, right? Watch out for the space. Green messages denotes all successes. Red is for error and yellow or orange is for warnings. So the very first thing, my connection has been established, and you will be able to see a lot of data points that I've already created. And based on the data source type, the properties would of course vary, right? The next thing that we do is the data profiling, or how do I really identify that what kind of schema I'm expecting. So there are two ways. If you are really aware of your schema, what you can do is that you can click and you can create a new schema, or if you are not sure, you can simply click on import schema. It will ask you for the data point that you've created, and automatically it will create the schema for you. For an example, let me pick up one of the schema that I've created for files. You'll be able to see all the attributes that are coming from that specific file. And let me also give a glimpse of towards the right side. Here's the description, right? For each of those data attributes and the business glossary for each of those attributes are created. Sooner we are going to have generative AI option. Right now we have a separate module for generative AI, but all the business glossary that you see right here, that will get automatically populated right within the integrated within the product itself. You can make certain things changes. Let's say if you want to override certain things which are generated and then simply save it. Your schema is done. At the same time, if you want to see a certain type of data, what kind of data that you are expecting or what kind of data that you are going to receive, you can simply click on view data and all those data you'll be able to see. So it will really help you to do data profiling as well. If you think you need the schema to be stored in your local laptop from a data engineering standpoint, you can simply export it. So two out of three critical tasks for me as a data engineer is solved. I'm able to connect to more than 150 variety of sources without worrying how do I really code securely, and as well as the schema identification. So these two tasks are done. Now, third, which is the data flow, which is nothing but the data pipeline, right? So here we have a data flow where it's a simple drag and drop kind of experience for data engineers. On the left, you will see all the sources that you have. You have target and the transformation that you want to choose. So we have a variety of transformations. You can simply choose any one which you want based on your pipeline selection. You can simply drag and drop and things are done. Right after everything is done, you can set those properties for each of those components, and uh, any override that you want to do with those is also available right after here. Right, so we have done a lot of mappings with the data and the source of data which we are getting. We are filtering, we're applying some roll up. So entire pipeline is created, and you would see that I've not used any single programming uh, to create my pipeline. Now again, 3 by 3 all set. My pipeline is created. I can set my precisions. Everything is done and dusted. As a data engineer, my job is done. Now there comes a role of, let's say, a data ops engineer or maybe people who maintain our infrastructure, right? Since this is an enterprise platform, we really would like to give an experience to data engineer. How do they maintain their code on their own, right? So very simple thing that comes after I create my pipeline. How do I execute this? Right? So we have an option where you can just simply click on run, your pipeline will get started. You can actively monitor the status of your data pipeline right after here. You will see those things changing as and when it progresses. We also have extensive logs for data engineers who are pretty geek, and they would like to understand how exactly their pipelines are getting executed. These logs are further divided into information messages or warning messages. Had this been any error, you will also find error. Now, from a CI/CD standpoint, one question quickly comes up to data engineers. I've created pipelines, everything is running fine. I've already validated. How do I really move to the next step? How do I move it to next environment? Or let's say if there is a failure, I want to raise a ticket. How do I attach those logs so that the respective team can analyze? So you can simply download and you can automate the entire workflow to create the ticket with certain platforms like Jira, or if you're using any certain project management tool, you can do that, right? So it's a very simple, user-friendly tool. You can do anything from a data engineering standpoint just with a click of a button. To complicate this thing further, let's say I have certain things to run within the loop, because programming gives me that flexibility. I want to run certain process automation, like I want to notify the users if everything has been successfully completed, or I want to do a file handling, which is not something which off the shelf which is available. I have got you covered. If you go to a job flow, which is our next module, it will allow you to do any certain pick up your jobs and any specific things that you want to do, like if you run any task command or email notifications, file transfer. It's a very comprehensive menu you see on the left side. And again, if you want to execute any certain jobs, just simply click on run and you will be able to see everything what you were able to see on the data flow, the similar fashion. Right, there will be extensive logs which you can again further define. You can refresh it for the latest status, or you can download it. Or else, let's say if a lot of engineers are executing these commands or they're executing jobs, there's a furthermore complexity. I want to run these jobs only on the weekdays, or I need a scheduler where if my data arrives on my server, then only I want to execute. Again, we have got you covered. We have a scheduler module where you can go and you can actually schedule your pipelines. And we have very comprehensive options available. You can time your data pipelines based on certain calendar events, based on certain file events, or even email actions based on certain email actions. So if you're receiving certain log emails or a server emails that you have received the latest version of your data, you can kick off your pipelines. Everything is pretty much available within the click. So we've got you covered from a process automation standpoint, data engineering standpoint. Everything is just available from a click of a button. Now let me further complicate things. From a data engineer standpoint, a lot of the times they need parameters which you can commonly use across the teams, right? If you have certain user-defined functions, or if you have certain subflows which you want to reuse, or if you want to execute certain parameters, if you want to create your pipelines based on certain parameters, we again have similar things on the left side. You can see we have user-defined functions. So this platform has been built on Java. So you can write a Java program and you can import your user-defined functions if you think it doesn't have enough functionality available. So we also allow you to create your user-defined function or certain data flow, which is quite repetitive in nature. You can create those data subflows. This data subflows would be available in the job flow as well as the data flow. You can reuse them, and you can ask your team to basically use the same flow. Or if you want to create some parameters, like let's say a very common parameter is the timestamp, right? So I'm receiving, let's say if I'm working on a global company where I'm expected to receive files from various servers, the timestamp that I receive from various servers are going to be literally different based on the time zone. I can set the standard time zone for all the files and all the data that I receive as a parameter, and I can use those parameters while I execute my pipeline. So it's a pretty exhaustive list of transformations, parameters, as well as the expressions or UDF which are available within the tool itself, which you can directly use it. And things are pretty much done from a data engineering standpoint. I'll be very interested to know if you have certain complex transformations which are not covered. I'll be more than happy to let accommodate within the platform. Or as from our standpoint, we really do believe that we have extensive expressions or transformations available within the tool itself. You can see from a functions, sequence, expressions, you can encrypt your data, mask your data, everything is pretty much possible within the tool itself. So it caters to probably more than 98% of the data engineering requirements, where you maintain your pipeline, you create your pipeline, as well as you parameterize your pipeline, and you can maintain it through monitoring and scheduled way. So that's all about the platform. This is very exciting from a data engineering standpoint because it really doesn't require any specific maintenance. If I really talk about the advantages from an enterprise standpoint, it really gives instant boost to your productivity as well as the standardization. If as an engineer, I'm working on a certain project, and if I've been asked to move to a different project, the standard way of creating pipelines for a variety of data sources are consistent enough. And that is why we say this is a unified data orchestration platform. Be it any kind of data, we create the pipelines the most unified way, irrespective of your data source, irrespective of your transformation component, or irrespective of your transformation target. Everything is just unified. So that's the platform for you, PurpleCube, which is a unified data orchestration platform. Now I'll go back to a conversation where I spoke about generative AI initiatives, and I talked about most effective use cases from a data engineering or data perspective. If you are working on a data organization or line of business which directly interacts with data or data analytics, what are the certain use cases from an LLM standpoint that you can implement effectively for your organization, right? So we have identified 4 use cases, and with our new module, which is Gen AI, you can seamlessly connect with your data source, and you can have all your 4 use cases we spoke about just with the tip of a button, right? So now I'll share my screen because the volume of the data is so huge, it will take a lot of time to get execute. I've recorded some pre-recorded a video which will help you understand how exactly it functions and how it will help you from a generative AI standpoint, how you can leverage it from your productivity perspective. All right, I hope you can see my screen. Okay, I've started execution. That's our Gen AI module. The very first thing what we can do is that we can connect with the outcome, right? So we are going to have three options. You can either pick up a file from your local server, or you can pick it up from the pipelines which we have executed. So from local or a file server, you can pick up your data, or you can have a Gen AI component within the platform itself, which will give you, or that will prepare the data set for you. Or third option is a data warehouse, a Snowflake or any specific data warehouse which you can connect through a JDBC. That's the first thing from a data source perspective. Right now, Gen AI supports with three primary LLM models, GPT 3.5 and 4, Vertex, as well as Llama. So these are the three models that we open. It will ask you to enter your API key for any specific model that you've chosen. We believe in an ideology where we give choices to data engineers on which platform they would like to work, and this actually gives us the separation of concern. So if you have certain models implemented within in-house for your organization, or if you fine-tune a certain model, you can directly use those capabilities. You can extend those capabilities within the tool itself, so that all organization policies, boundaries, or any guidelines that you have set for your organization, that will automatically be applied to this platform as well, because you are leveraging the same API. So right after we enter a certain API, based on the model that you have chosen. Right now, I'm using a GPT 3.5 model. So I'm using my local source to upload a file. After I upload a file, it will give you a ChatGPT kind of experience. You can interact with your data live. Right, so my data has been uploaded. It has given me an indication that it's ready for analytics. Now you can see that the file that I've uploaded, it has a lot of data attributes, and some of these data attributes are really difficult to understand. Like if I talk about TTL CNTY, it's very difficult, or CNTY RPT, it's very difficult. But otherwise, if I talk about, let's say, geographic location, uh, I can very well understand year, I can understand state, I can understand. So there are some data attributes which are really easy to understand, but there are some which are extremely difficult to understand, right? So what I'm going to ask is that create a business glossary for the all data attributes, or for all the data that I have uploaded, right? So what is going to do is that it will generate the business glossary for me, and it will leverage the LLM capabilities. Now, I'll also give you a dope what happens in the background and how it is different than usual chat GPT or Llama or any particular model. When you create a query, or when you ask query to any specific Gen AI model, it gives you a bland response based on the knowledge or based on the data that you've tuned for that specific model, right? Here, what we are doing is that we have a project information available, we have a customer information available, as well as we are also sending the accurate data, the data that we have uploaded, right? So based on all this information which is available, and it also understands the database structure and the relationship of those data attributes with other tables. Now, considering all this information, the response that it will create would be more contextual than to a generalized version that you get out of any specific chat GPT, right? So we are using active metadata that we have within our platform, as well as we are also sending sample data. So the response that you're going to get is going to be more contextual as well as accurate. There are lesser chances for hallucination as well, because we are sending a very accurate data to the any specific LLM model. Now, after I asked the question, you would see that it has created a very beautiful summary for me, and the data attributes which are extremely difficult to understand, like TTL CNTY, that were total counties, or CNTY RPT was counties that were reported for this analysis. This is the air quality index data, which is available open data set, and I have roughly around 30 or 40,000 rows of data which I have implemented. Now, next thing after business glossary is how do I interact with this data? Exploratory data analysis from a machine learning or machine learning scientist perspective. If I'm training my model, I really need to know how exactly my data looks like. And in order to do that, for data discovery, I need to have those representation of data on charts so that I cannot go back to all 40,000 rows one by one. I can report it onto a chart, and it would be very easy for me to visually discover the data, how exactly it is span across. So I'm going to ask certain questions to prepare chart out of the data that I have uploaded, and it will give me a lot of information about all the data that is being under analysis. Uh, while it is getting generated, let me also touch upon a point for business glossary, is that the business glossary, you can also export it into a JSON file, and sooner this facility or this capability is going to be integrated within platform as a data object module itself. So you'll be able to export it, or we have certain types with the vendors like Alation, Erwin DI, we have their specific connectors. So you can use this metadata and the business glossary to be imported directly onto your specific tools like Colibra or Erwin DI or Elation. You can directly import those business glossaries. Now you were seeing, I asked a question to create a chart for change in the population of California over the last all the years for the data reported. Now, if you see for this specific question, it was supposed to create a computation change in the population for a specific years, and it was also expected to filter the records only for California state. And it's been able to do that for all last 40 years. It has created a beautiful chart of giving the change in the population. So in the backend, how does it really works is that the question that I've asked will get converted into SQL queries. At the same time, it will return me the Python code. This Python code is getting executed locally, because if you ask 40,000 rows or probably a million rows of data to any specific LLM model, that will go into hallucination mode or a hang mode. It will not be able to execute. You will not be able to upload because of a token limit. But while here the data is getting executed, the charts are getting executed locally, right? So that's also one of the advantage. You'll be able to see everything, how exactly things are spanning out. Now, let me again ask a very complicated, even more complicated question than this one, very specifically, that to create a bar chart. And I'm also asking to format those charts for a certain color, right? So now, again, this is a more complicated because it has two subqueries. If you see, I need to find out top states as well as the highest AQI. And again, for a specific 1980 year, right? So what it will do, again, it will create a very simple SQL query for me. It will run the data. It will run the SQL query on the data, and then it will create a Python chart. From the Python chart, it will allow you to see or visualize your data with specific query that you asked, and it will also format it. Now, for the ease of enterprise processes, we also have done to download these images, because as part of the project management, let's say if you are using Jira for your project management, you have certain stories where as a machine learning engineer, they'll be expected to upload their evidences, how exactly what kind of data they're using or how exactly their data look like. Right, so we can simply download this. It will get downloaded as a JPG format or a PNG format, which is standard format for evidences, and you can upload it into Jira, which further can be used for all your process automations and everything. Now, these charts with whatever you see out of everything that you would have seen, it's pretty interactive, right? You can ask questions further on top of it, and that will again, serve the questions for you. Query your data, interact with your data. You can ask for certain quality rules. You can also check for business quality, and you can also do business glossary. So with this, I leave this forum open for questions. Uh, More than happy to answer any questions that you have. Back to you, Karsten.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Kaushal. Okay, there was one question that just came through on the chat now. This has an OpenAI connector, which sends the query to OpenAI, right? There is no proprietary LLM platform which can be installed on the client infrastructure.
So there are two options. Yeah, so like I mentioned, our platform's ideology is to give a choice to data engineers or data architect, right? So if you are using OpenAI, or if you have certain LLM implemented within your platform, like let's say Llama or Vertex, this platform or this LLMs also gives you a choice if you want to implement it locally, or if you want to fine tune with your data, or if you want to apply certain infrastructure policies on top of your LLM, right? So that all possible options available, and we would directly extend those APIs to our platform. This platform doesn't explicitly call or has enforced data engineers to use only OpenAI. If you have certain LLMs which are implemented, more than welcome. It's very similar to our ideology on processing engine. While we create our pipelines, we use the push down architecture. So it will give you a choice to choose your own processing engine. And within your platform, if you have multiple processing engine, again, it will help you to choose at a most atomic level, which is the data pipeline. At a data pipeline level, you can choose where your data would get processed. So similar way, if you have certain generative AI specific use cases, and if you would like to implement on certain LLM, again, for that specific project, you choose your OpenAI key, or if you have Llama index, or again, that also might use OpenAI index, OpenAI key API. But if you have certain API key which you have installed within your organization with all your boundaries and safety guidelines, you can extend those APIs, and the platform will do the magic for you.
Hey,
Perfect.
Kaushal,
Thanks.
sorry,
Yep.
sorry, Kirsten. Just Kaushal, would you like to also elaborate on how one of our clients is using this, where they have restriction on exposing the data to OpenAI, but using dummy data, then bringing the code back in the environment?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So this is one of the largest retailer in United States, and they are mandated to use this offline. So what they've done is they have a fine-tuned model available in-house within their own infrastructure. And while they work within their environment, they also had one single request that the data which we are sending, even the metadata which we are sending, and the sample data that we are sending to any specific LLM, that should not get exposed, right? Or it should be encrypted. So now these were the three options which are available within the platform. While you send your data across the various channels through an API, or if you have certain infrastructure protocols through which you are uploading your data, either you can encrypt them with certain standard encryption mechanism, base 64 or something. That is also something to protect your data. So that's one. Second, while we bring the data, or while we query the OpenAI or any specific LLM model, we are querying for a certain Python program. And this Python program is getting executed within your local environment. So what we did for that particular client was we sent the synthetic data, which is again generated from the local instance itself. Within the local instance, they were running a Python program. So from the actual data, they will convert into a synthetic data. The synthetically generated data will go back to LLM. It will give you the business glossary, or it will give you the exploratory data analysis specific Python program. Use this Python program, execute it locally on your actual data, and then it will get further distributed. So whatever charts that you see, that will be generated based on actual data. But while you fetch those APIs, or while you fetch those Python programs, that those were generated, accurate Python programs were generated based on the synthetic data. So it was a happy discussion after it all, because all they were worried is to not to send their actual data over any specific channel. And we use the synthetic data generation module through which we send it to any specific LLM, and we got the Python program which we execute locally.
Perfect. Thanks, Kaushal. I think we have time just for one quick question. So this one just came through now. In the demo, we are able to query the data and plot graphs by using Gen AI. So will we be able to build the data pipelines by using Gen AI?
So to answer to this question, it's again a very smart question. So the platform has capability to create pipeline without any specific program. Now, if you want to use generative AI to create your pipeline, it's something that we need to decide what's the boundary line, right? So once you have connected with your data source, and if you have identified the schema, then for a pipeline creation, we can create the sub pipeline. I mean, the entire pipeline, of course, cannot be created using Gen AI because it actually against our ideology. For data flow, we are able to create pipelines without any specific code, and it has a lot of process automations and everything. But there are certain elements within your pipeline, like, if you would like to apply certain pipeline quality rules, or if you would like to apply certain transformation rules, or if you would like to generate a business glossary, so to enrich your metadata, all those things are quite possible. Now, in between that, you can also have the exploratory data analysis module. So you create the entire of your data flow, which is part of your pipeline. You execute your pipeline, you get the data set, which is ready to use, do the exploratory data analysis based on the volume of the data that is generated. You fine tune your model with this training data set. Once you have further tweaking on this data set, you can apply those specifics to the pipeline, and then you can complete the entire job, which is you are expected to create a complete, proper, fine-tuned data set for your machine learning training, model training. So you can do things in bits and pieces, but the entire pipeline is something which I do not see a use case, because the platform itself is able to create pipeline without any specific programming, and it's very simple to use. You can just expect it to drag and drop, and your pipelines are ready. But part of the pipeline, definitely it will be done through Gen AI, like, applying certain quality rules, even getting those recommendations for quality rules. Everything is quite possible. Part of the data pipeline can be created using generative AI. We are also going to have this feature probably later to 2024. It's going to be auto healing pipelines. So whatever pipelines that you've created, if you're getting certain kinds of error messages, all the error messages or warning messages or logs which are getting generated, we're training our model based on those logs, so that it will help you to correct or auto heal your pipeline. That's something that's definitely going to come up. Although I did not announce on this because we did not discuss about the roadmap, but towards the end of the 2024, this is something which we are expecting.
Perfect. Thanks, Kaushal. One question directed here to Bart quickly. So what are the different licenses or licensing models for PurpleCube AI?
All right. So first of all, you have access to download license for free and use it for 30 days. That's our trial license. If you go on a website, you can download it from there. We are in marketplace with Azure and AWS and Google, so you can choose your platform and you can deploy it there. When it comes to buying PurpleCube, we have 3 editions: Express, Advanced, and Enterprise. And Express edition is one user. The idea behind that is for you to get comfortable with the product and kind of get used to it. The advanced edition is you get 3 licenses, 3 users, and the enterprise is 5 users, is an annual subscription, and you can add additional number of users on any of these categories if you need to. And also another separation is number of connectors you get with every edition. If you go on our website, there is a pricing table explaining this in detail. I'm going to paste that in the chat box now.
Okay, so thanks everyone. We have now come to the end of our webinar. So with regards to the next steps, we offer a 30-day free platform trial like Barrett mentioned. So please head over to Microsoft Azure, GCP, or the AWS Marketplace and go ahead and start for free. Alternatively, if you would like on-prem access or to book a personalized demo with the team, please head over to www.purplecube.ai. And if you have any further questions, you can also reach out to me directly at kirsten.kopke@purplecube.ai. So thank you, everyone. Please, can you keep an eye out for our follow-up email? This email will include our latest generative AI and data engineering ebook, as well as the full recording of today's webinar. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. Have a lovely rest of your day. Goodbye.